Welcome back to New Realities. I'm Alan Steinfeld, and of course, another incredible day here with Doc Wallach as my guest. There he is, Doc Wallach on New Realities. And Doc is one of the few people to have a scientific paper on health and nutrition in the Smithsonian. Isn't that right, Doc?
Yes, it's my thesis for my postdoctoral fellowship, which was a $25 million grant from the National Institutes of Health, represents 20,000 autopsies. I was able to find out there were no genetically transmitted diseases. There were no genetically transmitted birth defects. And they freaked out over that. And so they put it in the Smithsonian Institute as a national treasure. And it became the basis of everything that I've done since then, which was 1977. And because all the diseases said to be genetic are not, and they're all preventable with nutrition. And of course, many of them are reversible with nutrition after the baby's born. Or let's say you're 60 years old and you develop this disease called diabetes. It's not a genetic disease. It's a very simple nutritional deficiency. You take the nutrients, it goes away.
But what about when people say they have a certain gene and they're predisposed to certain illnesses? And
who told them that, Alan?
Well, I didn't tell them that, but doctors have told them that. People
have you ever heard, Alan?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the CD, the DVD in the book called Dead Doctors Don't Lie? The only time a doctor won't lie is when he's dead. His mission is to get you on a pharmaceutical, a drug to relieve symptoms so he can milk you like a cow. Okay? They never treat the basic cause. They never cure anything. They always treat the symptoms.
What about those awful situations where women have had double mastectomies because doctors have told them they've had a certain gene that they're prone to certain, to breast cancer. So they prevented that. What do you say to those women that have?
Well, I would like to be their expert witness in court when they sued the doctor for being what should I say, being a evil spirit to humanity.
Well, yeah, I agree.
A woman gets her breast cut off because the doctor says she's got a bad gene. Oh my gosh.
Well, are there no bad genes? Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
There are no bad genes. So when they look at the genome and they look at your genetic, anomalies, what are they seeing?
They're seeing nutritional deficiencies. Now you have to appreciate there was a new science formed. There were two scientists, one by the name of Bruce Lipton, like Lipton tea, and he looked at identical twins who were separated in the first year of life and they went different directions. And he tracked them down 30 years later when they're both 30, 35, 40, 50 years of age and looked at the various health diseases they had. And if everything was genetic, they would have all had the same health problems. And the answer is no. It was based on where they lived as opposed to who was their identical twin. And then, of course, I did 454 species of animals in zoos, in the big city zoos, was 17,000 some change. In that particular study, I did 3,000 human autopsies. And then I did one in China, in Qishan, China, 1,700 autopsies published in an English medical journal. Let's see here, the Journal of Trace Element Research in 1990. So you can look it up to see that I'm not lying, 1,700 autopsies there. I've done a total of over 8,000 human autopsies, which are in the book called Epigenetics, The Death of the Genetic Theory of Disease Transmission. My thesis that's in the Smithsonian Institute, Alan, if you can get one now, the W.B. Saunders, the big medical textbook publishing house, they published my thesis. It was 5,000 pages. They edited it down to 1,200 pages. They sell it for $25,000 each. If you can get one used, on Amazon, which they have every once in a while, you can get them for, if in good condition, say for 8 to 12, 15,000, 18,000. If they're beat up, they'll be, say, 6 to 8,000. If they're really, really beat up, you can get them for 4 to 6,000.
Right. But let's talk about the science of epigenetics, because just saying the word isn't enough, because I think what you've proven, and of course with your company Longevity, can really make up for what happens in the science of epigenetics. So epigenetics, I think, according to what I believe or what I've heard, and I've talked to Bruce Lipton, the environment and our nutritional intake affect our genetic expression. When we don't have the proper genetic expression, our genes can change, which lead to disease. Is that what epigenetics is?
That's not exactly the way it is.
Okay, tell us.
Okay, he's trying to explain that in genetic terms, right?
Yeah.
There's no genetics involved here. Okay, so when you have a car and you're driving the car and you don't put oil in it, the red warning light comes on. You say, well, it's just a bad gene. You know, the car is going to die, and so you let the car die. Okay, no, you put oil in the car to keep the engine from burning up. But let's say your mechanic, his brother's a doctor. The doctor says, don't take vitamins and minerals. You're just wasting your money. Okay, you're just wasting your money. Just eat well. You're going to get everything you need to make your genes happy. It'd be like saying from your mechanic, don't waste your money on oil in your car. Just put dirt from Texas or Oklahoma in there. There's bound to be some oil in that dirt. Now, an insane idiot wouldn't do that to their car. They would talk about that mechanic to everybody in town and make sure nobody goes to that crazy mechanic. But when your doctor says that and people say, oh, my doctor said I can get everything I need just by eating well and don't waste your money on vitamins and minerals. Oh, my doctor says.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bam, you're dead.
Right. So you're saying because we don't get the proper nutrition from our foods, what happens to the body at that point?
The genes cannot do their job. Your genes are designed to repair injured cells in biochemical systems. Your genes are designed to replace ones that die because there's no cells in the body that live forever. They have a lifespan. When they die, your genes make new ones. Okay? Right. That's what they do. But like the most advanced technology factory on earth, if you don't have technicians to know what they're doing and you don't have all the raw materials to put in the machinery, there ain't no products coming out the other end.
Right, right.
Okay, the same thing. The genes have a job to do. They require raw materials to do it. You give them the raw materials, the genes will do it. Right. Now, I take people that haven't urinated in 10 years, Alan. They're told they have bad genes for their kidneys. They haven't urinated in 10 years. They're on dialysis 6 days a week for 10 years. They were on dialysis for 20 years before that. I put them on our program for it. In 2 weeks' time, they're urinating. In 6 weeks' time, they're off of dialysis that they've been on for 25 years. The doctors are just milking them like a milk cow.
Well, what would help, like in that case, for instance, I'm going to show the number to call, but what specific things would help? What would you recommend for someone in that situation? Okay, well, here's the deal. First of all, you have to appreciate when you look at the blood test, and the blood test says your kidneys are not filtering the blood. Okay, well, there's two possibilities. One, there's something wrong with the filter in the kidneys, and the other is not getting the blood. So being a pathologist, I started looking at the arteries carrying the dirty blood into the kidneys. In every case, 100% of the cases when people had kidney issues, in 100% of the cases when people had kidney issues, Alan, they had arteriosclerosis, they had plugged arteries, and there was no bad, dirty blood getting into the kidneys. So I came up with a program. Okay, we call it the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, which is our biggest hammer in our toolbox, has everything, every gene in your body needs to do its job. And then I came up with a little product called Ultimate Daily Classic Tablets, which are designed to support healthy blood pressure. But in the case of the kidney issue, even more importantly, was designed to support healthy blood flow through blocked arteries. And then, of course, when your kidney can't get the dirty blood, it doesn't like that. So it puts out a hormone called renin, R-E-N-I-N. You can look it up, R-E-N-I-N. And the purpose of renin is to drive your blood pressure up, to try and drive more blood into those arteries, into the kidneys, so the kidneys can filter the blood. Okay, so I just increase the blood flow into the kidneys. The blood pressure drops because the kidney stops making renin, and the kidneys begin to work and filtering the blood. And so you don't need to be on dialysis anymore. I get people that are on dialysis for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, and in weeks they're off of dialysis because they just get the dirty blood into the kidneys. So what product in longevity would be the best for that kind of? Well, again, our basic program, every vertebrate, whether you're an elephant or a human being or a porpoise or an ostrich or a giraffe or a dog or a cat or a human being,
all vertebrates require 90 essential nutrients for all of our genes to do their job. 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 3 fatty acids. We came up with a core product, okay, in 1977 called the Healthy Start Pack. And the Healthy Start Pack contains all 90 of those essential nutrients. And then we have secret sauces for over 600 different diseases. Did you add the secret sauce to that basic core pack called the Healthy Start Pack? And, you know, as people get older, they might have 6 or 8 or 10 different pre-existing conditions.
Right.
Okay.
So
okay. Well, for the kidney issue, I would give them the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, our bigger hammer, which covers all the tissues in the body. But also, I would give the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets, which support healthy blood flow through blocked arteries and healthy blood pressure. And then, of course, let's say the person also has diabetes, I would throw in the Sweeties. And within weeks, even if they've had diabetes for 30 years, they've gone blind, they've had their feet cut off because of diabetes, in 30 days, they're an ex-diabetic. Because type 2 diabetes is a simple nutritional deficiency disease.
It's diabetes is a nutritional deficiency disease. What nutrition?
Type 2 diabetes, which makes up 98% of the diabetic population, is a simple nutritional deficiency disease. Now, when you get type 1 diabetes, which kids are born with that, right. Type 1 diabetes is a birth defect, not a genetic birth defect, but a birth defect because mama was missing the nutrients necessary for the stem cells to make the beta cells in the islet of Langerhans in the embryonic pancreas to make insulin. So when the baby's born, he's not making any insulin because of this birth defect, because mama was deficient in that nutrient back when the embryo was forming the pancreas. Now,
can you help that situation?
Well, yeah, well, they have to be on insulin.
But can you?
Because they don't have the cells. I mean, if I gave them the nutrients, they don't have the machine in the factory to make the product. So I don't care how much raw materials you put in the factory, the machine isn't there.
Right.
Now, it's just like a cleft palate. Now, when mama's missing a nutrient, when the embryo goes from a flat disc into a tube, if the mama's missing that nutrient, the baby can get a cleft palate. I can prevent those cleft palates by giving the mother these nutrients for at least 60 days before pregnancy and all through pregnancy. All the babies will be born without a cleft palate. But once they're born with a cleft palate, it's a surgical case at that point. You cannot give them the nutrition and reverse it.
Well, yeah, let me just tell people, anyone watching interested in these products that Doc has formulated over his long career from the 70s onward, call Longevity 888-275-7755. There's someone there right now to answer your questions and to take your orders. Great people online, very informed. They've been trained by Doc. They're very familiar with the product. So Carolyn is joining us, but also someone on the chat here asks, can you tell me what I need to lose weight? I mean, what is the problem with that?
Okay, that's very easy. When people are overweight, it's because they're missing nutrients, certain nutrients. And it creates a behavior. The nutritional deficiency of those nutrients they're missing produces a behavior called pica, P-I-C-A. You can look it up in any dictionary. It doesn't have to be a medical dictionary. It's so common in the standard dictionaries, Webster's. You can look up pica, P-I-C-A. It's a drive to find something to eat. And people, if there's no food around, in the old days, grandma used to eat wood ashes out of the wood stove or the fireplace. Grandma would go out in the backyard and eat dirt. Kids will eat handfuls of dirt. They'll eat sand when they're playing in the sandbox. They used to chew on their crib, you know, when they're, say, 1 year old, they're standing in their crib waiting for mom to come get them for breakfast. They're chewing on the rail on the crib, and so they called it cribbing. And they would put this plastic piece across that rail so they wouldn't chew through that rib. When horses eat the top rail in their stall in the barn because they're deficient in that nutrient, they call it cribbing, just like the kids used to do, right? That's where the term cribbing came from.
I guess.
All
so
right?
Instead of putting the plastic, they should have kept the wood, right?
Well, no, they should have given them vitamins and minerals. But they didn't know that. They didn't know what the behavior was due to. I found it out, right? When you do 32,000 autopsies, that one project I did over 1,700 autopsies on kids under the age of 10.
Wow.
I was able to eliminate cystic fibrosis, supposed to be a genetic disease. No. I eliminated muscular dystrophy, supposed to be a genetic disease. No. Gave 100 charts where we had cured kids with muscular dystrophy to Jerry Lewis. He took it to the Muscular Dystrophy Association. They fired Jerry Lewis, stopped the telethon because they didn't want to give up their income stream. And they still went out of business because we forced the baby food companies, Enfamil, Similac, and others, to put this nutrient in the baby food so there's no more cystic fibrosis, there's no more muscular dystrophy. Then April 16, 2013, I got a win in the federal court to put this nutrient into baby formulas, okay? And we eliminated, make a long story short, we eliminated sudden death syndrome, okay? September 13th, 2014, front page story, the Charlotte Observer, the big newspaper in Charlotte, North Carolina, kind of like the same thing as New York Times for New York. We don't know why, but sudden death syndrome has vanished in the state of North Carolina. Then 3 months later, we don't know why, but sudden death syndrome has vanished in the state of Missouri. And then we don't know why, but sudden death syndrome has vanished in the world.
Right. No, it's awful. We lost your camera for a second, Doc. I think you have to press the camera.
Yeah, I have a caller, but I'm getting rid of him.
Oh, okay. Thanks. No, I think this is very important what you're saying. So the case is you went to Jerry Lewis and you said, look, and you talked to him personally. I said, I got the answer that you've been looking for 30 years, using all this. It's this simple. He says, oh my God, you found it. And he goes to the head of the muscular dystrophy and he says, look, we found it.
Association. We found it. Here's all the data. And they called me and talked to me. And I said, hey, my thesis is in the Smithsonian Institute. You know, I'm not some crazy guy out there. This is real science. They fired Jerry Lewis. They shut off the telethon. And that's why you haven't heard anything about muscular dystrophy in the last 4 or 5 years. Because it's gone, number one. And number two, you have to appreciate the group of people that had the most muscular dystrophy and cystic fibrosis and crib death were the Amish people. And I got to work with a Navy SEAL who grew up Amish. He went and became a Navy SEAL of all things for an Amish guy. When he came back, he was all disturbed, okay, by what he had seen in my work, because the Amish people had the highest rate of muscular dystrophy and cystic fibrosis and sudden death syndrome of anybody, okay? And so they were telling him it's just their genes. So he says, can we help them? Yeah. So we started helping all these people, and I'm giving all these charts and information to Jerry Lewis. And even if they were 31 years old, they've been in a wheelchair, okay, for 28 years, I was able to reverse their muscular dystrophy. One of my most famous ones is a guy by the name of Amos Wiki, okay? And of course, we're at these meetings, and Amos Wiki, he's still sitting in his wheelchair. And some of these old guys from the Amish community said, okay, Wallach, you know, you've been giving Wiki your stuff for 2 years here. He's still in the wheelchair. I said, Amos, get up and walk. So he gets up, he runs up the middle aisle, all around the outside aisles, and everybody literally fainted. Okay, because he bought that wheelchair with his own money and he didn't want to give it away or sell it. So he just took it with him so he had something to sit in. He wasn't sitting in the wheelchair because he needed the wheelchair as a wheelchair. He just took it as a portable seat with him. Amos Wiki's his name.
That is funny. But let's get back to your paper in the Smithsonian, because the importance of it. When you discovered that people do not inherit genetic bad genes, that was a breakthrough. So
yes, it created a whole new science called epigenetics.
So someone's asking for the number to call. I'm going to put this up on the screen again, but I'll continue the conversation here. The number to call for people interested in Doc's products, 888-275-7755. I think Earth Star is there answering all the questions. But getting back, so when people are deficient, what happens is that the rest of their body, like their bones, their hair, their teeth, start to give the minerals that are needed for vital functioning. Is that why people age?
Yes, of course. You know, you see like teenagers who their hair went white. Well, that's a deficiency of a single nutrient. Hair color requires all 90 essential nutrients, but when this one is deficient, you'll start getting salt and pepper gray hair, then you get white hair. You know, there's all these stories. I've seen so many teenagers, they're 8, 10, 12, 14 years old. They have black hair, red hair, their hair goes white, and they look old because they start getting wrinkles, they get bags under their eyes. And of course, when people get aneurysms, which are a big bubble in the arteries in their body, whether it's the brain, the heart, the aorta, it's a breakdown of the elastic fibers. That same nutrition deficiency that causes the white hair causes that. Varicose veins is caused by that same deficiency because the elastic fibers also in the veins require that nutrient to stay toned up. Okay. And so when somebody gets varicose veins or they get white hair, that's the red warning light going on and said, hey, you're going to die of a ruptured aneurysm of the brain or the aorta if you don't start taking these nutrients.
So
Okay, because your body can maintain itself without these raw materials to keep building new things and repairing just natural aging.
So the body takes the excess from the hair, the bones, like you say, osteoporosis as well, that they need for vital organ function.
Okay, well, what happens here is, let's jump to kidney stones, which people understand. Okay. Your doctor will say, oh my God, you got too much calcium in your diet. Stop taking calcium, no supplements, don't drink any dairy, don't do that. And so what you want to do is make sure that you have no dairy, okay, no dairy and no calcium supplements because you got kidney stones. No, what happens is when you have kidney stones, you have a raging calcium deficiency and your parathyroid gland, not your thyroid gland, but your parathyroid glands are pulling calcium out of your bones to try and maintain your blood calcium so your muscles can contract and do all the proper things and your nerves can pass on information. And it's just overreacting and causing too much calcium to come in. So you get kidney stones and bladder stones because you have a calcium deficiency, just the opposite of what doctors will tell you. Okay.
Do you believe in the magnesium calcium balance?
I'm sorry?
You believe in the magnesium calcium balance that people say you should take?
Alan.
What?
That's something a 2-year-old would say. Okay. You need 90 essential nutrients.
Okay.
Calcium requires 89 other nutrients to do its job, not just magnesium, not just phosphorus, not just vitamin D3, not just copper. Okay. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You need all 90 for every function in the body. Now, there is one piece that might be necessary. For instance, the majority of the minerals in the bones are calcium and phosphorus. Okay, so you need a lot of them, but you still need all these others for those minerals to get put in the proper place in the bones. Now, I have a new book out. It goes along with all my other books, the trilogy book. Okay, it's called It's All in Your Head. There's 25 different diseases you get from osteoporosis of the skull.
Wow.
There's 25 different diseases you get from osteoporosis of the skull. And you'll go to neurologists, you'll go to ear doctors, you'll go to eye doctors, you'll go to people who deal with behavioral problems and Lou Gehrig's disease and blindness and all this kind of stuff and ringing in the ears and balance problems and dental problems and dentists and receding gums and bone loss in your skull. Okay, and paralysis in your shoulders and your arms. They say, oh, you got carpal tunnel syndrome. No, your skull is squeezing your spinal cord. People don't know it. Your spinal cord is made in your brain. It comes out of the back of your skull. And when your bones have osteoporosis, they get bigger, not with minerals, but just connective tissue. And it squeezes the spinal cord. You get all these diseases that you go to neurologists for and do surgeries and everything, when all you need to do is take the 90 essential nutrients. You take the 90 essential nutrients, okay, and you repair your skull. That hole gets bigger again, takes the pressure off the spinal cord, and all your diseases go away.
Well, also the healthy bone and joint pack from Longevity would also be part of that, right? I mean, that would be part of it.
Absolutely. Well, the healthy bone and joint pack was made specifically to deal with connective tissue and bone issues, cartilage, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue, skin, the walls of arteries and stuff. And so what we do is we say, look, if you're working in a factory and you're loading and unloading carts and loading and unloading trucks and putting heavy raw materials in machines and taking heavy finished product out the other side, and you're going up and down stairs and walking long distances carrying stuff, you need to be on the healthy bone and joint pack and stay away from the bad foods so you can maximize absorption. And your genes will be able to maintain your cells and your tissues and your organs.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Without a guarantee of all these raw materials going in there, you're in trouble because you're going to sweat them out. And these nutritional minerals, Alan, do not occur in a uniform blanket around the crust of the earth. Plants do not need them. Plants only need 3. You need 6. You can be 57 short. And so we learned that in the veterinary industry. No farmer is going to pay a veterinarian to come out and treat all these diseases in cows and pigs and sheep and chickens and turkeys and dogs and cats and ducks and so forth. So we learned if you put all these nutrients in these little alfalfa pellets we give the animals, you don't get these 700 different diseases that humans get, and you won't go broke in your farm by getting the veterinarian to come out every day.
Someone asks here, I have low back pain. What can you do for that?
Okay. Well, two things. Number one, per 100 pounds of body weight, if finances are an issue, they could go with the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack. But if finances are not an issue, I would go with the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. Okay. And then I would throw in the MSM, 3 of those twice a day per 100 pounds of body weight. And they have sulfur and other minerals in there that are necessary to maintain connective tissue and ligaments and tendons and cartilage and bones and bone matrix and everything. I would also throw in the vitamin D3, 3 of those twice a day per 100 pounds of body weight. And people say, well, I live in Florida, for God's sakes. I live in Southern California. I live in Eastern Texas, right on the Gulf. What do I need to take vitamin D3 supplements with? Well, because when you go out in the sun, you don't get naked and lay in the sun for 6 hours. You put on sun blocker because the doctor tells you're going to get cancer if you don't put sun blocker on. You wear long sleeve shirts, you get in the shade, and you don't stay 30 seconds in the sun. So it doesn't matter how much sun there is.
You need sun. You need sun without sun blocker, right?
Yeah, but most people don't do that. They're listening to their doctor. They're putting on sun blockers. They don't get skin cancer. So you need to take the oral vitamin D3.
So if you were
and then for the pain, wait a minute, that's to maintain the structural and physiological processes in the bones, right? To maintain themselves. We're talking about cartilage and ligaments and tendons also.
Right.
But then for the pain, we have several products. We call CM cream and trauma oil, which is a blend of aromatherapy oils. You put the 4 or 5 drops of the trauma oil in each teaspoon of CM cream. You mix that up and apply that to your back, not your feet or legs where the tingling and numbness will go, but in your back where the pain is, okay? That's because you have degenerative disc disease. The discs are shrinking, okay? The vertebrae getting closer together, smashing the roots of the sciatic nerves, which cause all this pain down your legs, all right? So you need that.
CM
you need all those nutrients to rebuild the disc, push the vertebrae apart. So not only will we relieve your pain immediately with the CM cream and the trauma oil, but also we're going to give you the raw materials so your disc can rebuild themselves and get rid of the problem.
Exactly. CM cream at longevity and all the nutrients.
And the trauma oil.
And the trauma oil. Now,
and we have a second one. We have a second one. It's called Soothe, S-O-O-T-H-E. It's a little pump bottle, and it's actually made from CBD oil. We've added other herbs and things to it to make it a stronger topical pain reliever. You can put that on with some trauma oil. And either one, I like to use the Soothe and the trauma oil, say a half hour before bedtime because it'll last longer. And then use the CM cream and the trauma oil once every 2 or 3 hours during the day. And that will relieve the pain while you're taking your Healthy Bone and Joint Pack to give your body the raw materials to rebuild itself.
No, this is great research. I'm going to hear from Carolyn in a second, but I just wanted to ask you, in all those autopsies, how many did you say? 3,000 autopsies?
No, 32,000.
32,000 autopsies. When you're looking at those bodies, what are you noticing exactly as the problem?
Well, in some cases, you're seeing, for instance, when you see, let's say we're looking at the back for somebody with low back pain, okay, and they committed suicide. Okay, so you're looking at their back. Why did they have back pain? Well, their discs have shrunk to where they have shrunk 1.5 inches, 2 inches in their total height since they were 20 years old. And their vertebrae are closer together, and they're smashing the roots of these spinal nerves that come out of they're called sciatic nerves. They come out of the lumbar area, your spinal cord, your low back. And remember, your spinal cord was formed in the brain. It goes down your neck, down your upper back, down your lower back, down your tailbone. And you can also get the nerves being squeezed, your spinal cord being squeezed up in your chest or up in your neck. So you can get kind of like a sciatica, your shoulders also, with numbness and pain and tingling down your hands and fingers. And doctors will say, oh, you have carpal tunnel syndrome. And they'll want to do surgery on you. And they just cut the nerves. You don't feel the pain anymore. But they haven't fixed the osteoporosis in the skull and the squeezing of your spinal cord. So you still have sciatica in your lower part of your body.
Right. So that's the problem. Now, I want to call Carolyn in here. Carolyn, can you put your camera on as well? Because I know you've been working with these products a long time, or not a long time, but you've had incredible results. And we have a bunch of people watching online. So can you put your camera on and talk to us here a little bit about what you've noticed and some of the people that you've helped? And Carolyn, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. The camera is not available today.
That's fine. That's fine.
And,
you have noticed recently in the people you've been working with longevity?
Okay, so
What's
yes,
that?
Longevity with a Y.
Longevity. Yes, longevity.
yes. So for
That's like
myself,
saying Buick instead of Buick.
Yeah,
okay, so I started using the Ocean's Gold along with the Bone and Joint Pack um, and other things for my health concerns. 40 years of taking 3 different thyroid medications, including bioidentical hormone creams. Um, I was able to stop all of that, take care of what the body needed with the Ocean's Gold, the Bone and Joint Pack, and be totally free of all meds, no aspirin, nothing like that. And now I know we have a new product. I wanted to hear Doc talk about the iodine, how that would be appropriate for people with hypothyroid or Hashimoto's. And because I haven't had an opportunity to order that product yet, and so I'm really benefiting totally by the Ocean's Gold. And also, I had severe knee pain and needed to walk sideways for less pain. And taking the Bone and Joint Pack Extra Glucogel MSM D3, in less than a month, I was walking normal, pain free. I could run and jump, do modern dance, which is basically a lot of.
And how
running.
long had you been disabled?
I'd been disabled with that severe knee pain for several months, and I don't know what brought it on, but I just noticed. And then I was using a cane besides, and I said to myself, okay, God gave me 2 legs. I'm calling up the company. I'm getting on board. I was committing in my mind to 120 days to be pain free and normal again, as it were, and able to go up and down stairs, carry my laundry, my groceries without pain.
Let's hear what Doc has to say about the new product, the iodine and the Ocean's Gold. I'm interested in both of those, Doc.
Okay, well, Ocean's Gold, of course, is an extract of the minerals found in algae, marine algae, okay, from the oceans and gulfs and all that kind of stuff, and seas. And we're talking about also kelp and seagrasses and so forth. And so we just took all the minerals out of those sea and ocean plants and put them in a product we call Ocean's Gold. And it gives the thyroid what it wants. Okay, the thyroid requires 90 essential nutrients, 60 different minerals. Iodine is one of them, okay? Iodine for the thyroid gland is kind of like calcium is for the bones. Your bones need all 90 essential nutrients, but it needs more calcium because the mass of the bone anatomy is calcium and phosphorus, right? The same way with your thyroid hormones, it requires a lot of iodine to be active, okay? So it can do its biological functions. And so there's another piece that we haven't really talked about here yet. You got to get rid of the bad foods so you can maximize absorption. That's why we have kids that are 3 years old and 5 years old and 10 years old. They get the COVID-19 virus. They get common cold-like symptoms in 3 days' time. They're okay. You get somebody who's 65, 70, they get real severe problems. They have to be in the hospital for 4 to 6 weeks on ventilators and may even die. Okay. So what's the difference between a 65, 70, 80-year-old getting the COVID virus and a 3-year-old getting the virus? Well, the difference is the 3-year-old only been on gluten for 3 years. And he only has 1% damage in his intestines. Whereas somebody who's 65, 70 years old, they've been eating oatmeal for breakfast, the breakfast of champions, Wheaties for breakfast. They're having pancakes and waffles and French toast. They're going to Spaghetti Factory 3 nights a week and having spaghetti. They're having hamburger buns for lunch every day, okay, and flour tortillas and pizza crust. And over time, it kills their small intestinal lining. They get celiac disease, okay? They get celiac disease. They get irritable bowel syndrome. You get all that kind of stuff, okay? Because of gluten. Gluten damages your intestines. Gluten causes appendicitis, all right? Terrible pain. And so, we're going to take your appendix out. Okay, that's good. But what did you do about all the rest of the intestines that are also damaged? Okay, didn't do anything. So when you have 50, 60% of your intestines damaged, you can eat all kinds of bad stuff, no problems.
Great.
We're still putting the nutrients into your bone marrow to make white blood cells and antibodies to kill the viruses and eat them like a 3-year-old does. But once you get 85, 90% of your intestines damaged when you're 65, 70 years of age, because you've been eating gluten every day for 70 years, now you have 85, 90% damage. Suddenly now you start getting all these pre-existing conditions, which are all nutritional deficiency diseases, because even if you supplement, you can't absorb the nutrients, you get all these diseases. Oh man, your family's got bad genes. You got 12 pre-existing conditions. You got diabetes, you got thyroid problems, you got high blood pressure, you got arthritis, you got osteoporosis, you got kidney issues, you're on dialysis, you have thyroid problems, you have bowel problems, you have Alzheimer's disease, you're going blind, you can't hear, you're dizzy. You have all these pre-existing conditions. What's going on here? You have to get a B12 shot every month because you can't absorb B12. Well, that's because your intestines are damaged. You can't absorb B12. You can't make white blood cells to defend yourself anymore. Oh, we're going to give you a transfusion every month so you can get some platelets because you're beginning to bleed under your skin because you're not getting the nutrition to make platelets in your bone marrow. Okay? That's because you've been eating gluten for 60, 70 years. Get off the gluten and eat like an Asian. That's why all the Asian countries only have 3 deaths and 23 people with the COVID virus. And we have 3 million people with COVID virus in the United States and, 100,000 dead.
Some people say oats don't have gluten. What's your answer to that?
That's a crapola statement, okay? The oats, okay, the gluten in oats is called gliadin.
Okay.
Now, if I shoot you with a projectile, it'll still kill you, even though I didn't call it a bullet.
Right, but some people say wheat is a lot more glutinous than something like oats. Is that true?
Well, no. A 22 bullet to the head will still kill you as well as a 45 bullet.
That's funny. Okay.
Don't do that. If you want to live, don't play that game.
Hey, I'm just repeating what someone said in the chat.
Well,
okay?
We're trying to save their stupid butt's life.
Okay. Carolyn, back to you. And also what did you put in with the iodine? You don't have to tell us, but did you add something to make it more absorbable to the body when you made that product?
Well, it's something you're supposed to take with all the other 89 essential nutrients, because if you just take it by itself, it's not going to be effective. Okay. Right. It's just kind of like saying, well, I have an air filter in my car. It's just not running anymore. And you look and you say, well, your gas tank's empty, but I got an air filter in there.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So the engine will run clean. Yeah, but you still need gasoline.
Okay. So Carolyn, you've had some amazing success with these products. I'm really happy you're on the line. Tell us also about some of the people you've worked with longevity that you've also helped. Okay.
Well, what I really like is the benefit of the products for mind condition, mental conditions. And many people call and they don't tell me everything. And a couple of days later, they said, am I supposed to feel this good this fast? They were on the brink of suicide. They were so nutrient deficient, just like Doc said. They had all these diseases after many years. And I'm telling you, they got the quickest results in their mind, which helped them function better in life and not be on sick leave. And I also wanted to hear from Doc about the I-26 line.
Okay, yeah, Doc. Well, I-26 is Immune 26, is why it's called I-26. And basically what we do is we take chickens that are laying eggs and we inject the proteins of very bad stuff into them. Viruses, bacteria, fungus, and yeast, and all kinds of bad stuff. And they make antibodies against those bad proteins we're putting in there, all those bad bugs. And they put those antibodies into the egg. And then when they lay the eggs, we dry the eggs and make a powder out of it, which we call I-26. So it has antibodies against 26 different diseases in these hyperimmune eggs. Okay, and so that's where that came from.
Okay, someone online has a question. Kristen Lagadas asks, is coffee okay or not?
Oh, absolutely. We owned, I don't know how many tens of thousands of acres of coffee plantations in Nicaragua. We feed our coffee plantation our plant minerals. We send down boatloads of these 40-pound bags of our Bloomin' minerals that have 78 minerals in it. We feed that to our coffee plantation, okay? And we harvest the coffee. We actually roast it there in most cases. Sometimes we'll roast it in Florida. We have roasting plants in Florida. We have bold coffee. with the normal amount of caffeine in it, we have decaffeinated coffee. We have 5 different flavored coffees. My favorite is cinnamon hazelnut coffee. And of course, we have the single servings in these big boxes of single servings. You can make a single serving.
Is that
We
sold at Longevity? That's a Longevity product, the cinnamon coffee?
Yes. It's called Java Fit Coffee is the name of our coffee brand, Java Fit.
Okay, great.
We sell a lot of Java Fit coffee.
So coffee, what about the caffeine in coffee and some of the other?
Well, caffeine in of itself is not a bad thing. Any more like alcohol in of itself is not a bad thing. If you're taking the 90 essential nutrients and all of your processes that are in your body designed to process these chemicals, these plant chemicals, okay, these are not artificial chemicals. Caffeine is a plant chemical, right? Mm-hmm. And so our body has the ability to process these chemicals and make them, render them harmless, but yet maybe valuable. So, if you're driving late at night and you tend to be drowsy, you want to have a cup, take a thermos of our Java Fit, coffee.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So caffeine is not a bad thing.
Okay. Great. Someone asked, Doc, what are your thoughts about the new keto diet, pro or con?
Okay. Well, our new keto diet is really not new. We've had it for years and years and years and years. Our keto caramel shake, we have a keto caramel.
But what does keto mean? What are the elements of a keto diet? I don't even know.
Fat, ketosis. You want to be burning fat. When you're fat, you want to be burning fat. You don't want to be burning carbohydrates.
Okay, so keto diet means eat more fat. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and so now listen to me. We actually have a shake, we have a bar, and you want to have 2 of your 3 meals a day a keto meal. 2 of your 3 meals a day should be a keto meal, and it will force you to burn your body fat for energy. Okay, your 3rd meal should be all vegetables. All steamed vegetables, okay, without any of the bad stuff, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, butter, no sugar. Okay, your 3rd meal should be vegetables, like carrots and celery and lettuce and things like beets and so forth, and that kind of stuff. And then you want to also eat some eggs. You also want to eat some red meat and poultry and fish, but you want to keep your calories from your 3rd meal. You want to keep your calories down, around 200-300 calories. So we're talking about small servings of these. You're not going to be hungry. If you're having 2 or 3 meals a day, our keto diet, whether it's the shake or the bar, either one, doesn't have to be the same meals every day. You're going to lose a half a pound to 2 pounds a day. Alan, we get people who are 500, 600 pounds, okay? And in 3-4 months, they're down to 150 pounds. They lose 2 pounds a day.
On which, the keto, your supplements, or
the keto caramel diet,
right? So that's special on the Longevity site. You can ask for the keto caramel diet.
Caramel, not camel, caramel.
No, caramel diet. If you go to, so you ask for that, and that will supplement.
The keto caramel diet, you can either get the shake or the bar. And sometimes people say, I'm in a hurry, I don't have time to make the shake, I'll just grab a bar for this meal. Today is kind of the weekend. I wake up late and I'll just make myself a keto shake, for breakfast.
Great.
And then have a keto bar for lunch, and then I'll have my vegetables and my chicken for dinner with my family tonight.
Okay, I know you don't have that much more time, but I appreciate everything. I appreciate all the questions online. Carolyn, I know. Did you have another question about that other product you were mentioning?
Well, I do have a comment.
Yeah.
I have participated with the keto, and I wanted you to know that the bars are so filling. I actually could only eat half. They were so tasty. I said, how could this be healthy? And I think of myself at times as a big eater, have an appetite, and I could only eat half of the bar. It's so nutritious. And
everybody says that, Carolyn. Everybody says I can only eat half a bar.
I'm not kidding you. It's so yummy. Now, I wanted to ask you about, because I had real success with a 35-year-old man and his dog. He had sleep apnea, he had COPD, and he could barely walk from the sofa to the bathroom. Same with his dog. And I'm not kidding you, 3 days after taking the recommendations, his sleep apnea, of course, was reduced, And he now could walk to the mailbox outside, he and his dog, without
Okay, how old is this
being
guy?
winded. This is
How old is this guy?
this was 35-year-old gentleman. He was around 300 and some pounds with
Mhm.
sleep apnea and COPD, and the tremendous results. So I'd love for you to go over the recommendations for that.
Okay, well, 300 pounds, you know, he would need 3 of our healthy weight loss packs per month, 1 per 100 pounds of body weight. 2 of his 3 meals a day should be the keto caramel diet, either the bar or the shake. And he also needs some MSM. Take 3 of those 3 times a day. That'll be 2 bottles a month of MSM to help rebuild the cartilage, the disc between the vertebrae, bone matrix. And the reason is when you have things like sleep apnea, okay, he also needs our HGH. He needs to take 5 of those 3 times a day. It'll be 2 bottles a month of our HGH, human growth hormone, because the pituitary gland will make the hormones necessary to sleep well. And the reason why he, you know, was dizzy and all that kind of stuff and couldn't walk was probably osteoporosis of the skull. I'm going to ask him if he had ringing in the ears, you know, tinnitus, because that goes along with squeezing of the auditory branch of the 8th cranial nerve. And we had to come up with this book here called It's All in Your Head. We deal with 25 different diseases that people get when they get osteoporosis of the skull. And you don't have to be 75 years old to get osteoporosis, okay? Babies are born with osteoporosis, it's a nutritional deficiency. It's not an age-related thing, but all doctors tend to think, well, oh, you've got this problem, we can cut your leg off. No, you just need to take the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack or the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack with MSM and vitamin D3 and glucogel and collagen peptides and rebuild your skull, take the pressure off your spinal cord and your 8th cranial nerve, and it all goes away. And I'll tell you a horrible story, okay? This story just happened about, oh gosh, got to be 6-7 months ago. There was a congressman, a U.S. congressman from the state of Baltimore, from Baltimore, Maryland, okay?
Right. Elijah Cummings, I think.
Elijah Cummings, exactly. Elijah Cummings, very famous guy. And he was a congressman for like 40 years. Everybody loved him. Even Republicans loved him, right? A very interesting guy. And he got what's called AFib, atrial fibrillation, where his heart was flipping, flopping all over the place and running 50 beats over the normal heart rate. And they said, look, Congressman Cummings, you have AFib here, which is something that triggers a heart attack. You're going to get a heart attack unless you let us do an ablation. And so he says, well, what's an ablation? So, well, an ablation is where we're going to burn part of your heart muscle so that it stops telling your heart to jump around and go faster. And that'll save you from a heart attack. He said, well, is there anything else we can do? They said, no. So they anesthetize him. They cut his chest open. They take a hot soldering iron and they touch his heart and they kill him.
Oh my God.
They killed him on the surgery table, okay, for something that the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack would have fixed in 2 weeks.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, now here's the deal. These doctors from Johns Hopkins, they got to walk. They killed a congressman, they murdered him, and they get a walk.
Well, they didn't know what they did it out of ignorance, though, right? I mean, they didn't purposely do it.
Is ignorance, what do they say in the courtroom? Is ignorance?
No excuse for breaking the law, right?
Okay, there you go. You got it.
Right.
Now, you have to appreciate the 3rd leading cause of death, and Johns Hopkins just came out with this 3 weeks ago, exactly. 3 weeks ago, they came out with this, Johns Hopkins, the 3rd leading cause of death in hospitals is medical errors.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they said each year, now this is in America only, Alan, in America only, each year, medical doctors kill, that's the word Johns Hopkins used, 3rd leading cause of death in hospitals, medical errors. They kill 250,000 to 440,000 people from medical errors in hospitals each year, and they get a walk.
Right. So would you
What
say?
What if policemen were to kill 440,000 black people every year?
Yeah, no, yeah, but I know what you're saying. So would you say the way to help that is to educate doctors on nutrition? Is that the
Well, that is the long-term goal here. Okay, this should be a required reading text for doctors.
Right.
They can't get out of medical school until they pass a test on osteoporosis of the skull. This should be a required reading for doctors. This was published by one of the most what should I say, the most well-known black pastors on the East Coast from Atlanta, Georgia.
What
Pastor
does it
Creflo
mean?
Dollar.
What does that mean? What does slave quarter cures mean? What does that mean to
Herbs.
herbs?
You know,
Okay.
the little plants, little flowers and grasses and
Yeah.
things that they used to treat people that didn't kill them.
Right.
Okay, so what happened here was Pastor Dollar's 12-year-old daughter, the doctors told him she only had 2 weeks to live. She was born, quote, with a genetic disease in black kids, unquote,
Right.
with this type of asthma. So they called me. I said, no, sir, that's not a genetic disease. I can save her. So we put her on the Healthy Start pack, got her off all the bad foods so she could absorb it. And in 2 weeks' time, she was cured after 12 years of suffering and having crises 5 times a day for 12 years.
Uh-huh. Wow.
So he calls me up in 2 weeks. He says, well, my daughter doesn't have the asthma anymore. And you were correct. So now tell me about all the other genetic diseases in black people. Is that true for that too? I said, yes, sir. There are no genetic diseases in black people. He
Or
says,
in
look,
anybody. And no one has it.
aren't white people or yellow people or red people. There's no genetic disease in any vertebrate, elephants or dogs or cows too.
Okay.
I said, yes, that's true. He says, well, I got about a dozen people. These are seniors in our church. I mean, they're near death. They got these, quote, genetic disease. They got high blood pressure. They got diabetes. They got heart disease and all this stuff that doctors tell them they're genetic in the black community, and their families got to come in like once a month for an exam because they all, got the bad gene for those diseases. So that's not true, sir. So okay, I'm going to send them to you. So he sent them to me. In 3 months' time, they were all cured.
Mm-hmm.
And he paid for the first 10,000 of these books to be published because it goes into all the diseases said to be genetic in the black community that are not. It tells you what causes them and how to reverse them and how to prevent them. This should be required reading in medical schools. Doctors should have to pass a test on the black gene lies before they get their degree.
Right. I have another question here from the chat. Hydroxychloroquine, which everyone's been talking about, is claimed to decalcify the pineal gland. Is that right?
Pineal gland.
Pineal. Is that true? And what do you feel about hydroxychloroquine? Well, and the pineal and decalcification of your pineal pituitary.
Okay. I would go more with our Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. I would go with the MSM. I would go with the HGH, and anything to do with your anything to do with your brain and your pineal gland, okay, and also your pituitary gland. I would go with the HGH and the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. 3 eggs twice a day per 100 pounds of body weight with soft yolks. Hard-boiled eggs won't count. Stay away from all the bad foods, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, butter, and oats. Even the gluten-free oats, don't eat them because they're not really gluten-free.
Okay. All right. So no, I think that's no. So hydroxychloroquine, is that a poison actually? What is that?
No, it's a pharmaceutical.
Uh-huh. And what is that good for, like malaria or something like that? Was that the no, nothing like that.
Kill the mosquitoes.
That's right. There's that famous case that you said the first guy to win the Nobel Prize, right?
Yes, Ronald Ross. He discovered that the fever for 10,000 years was really caused by a parasite transmitted by mosquitoes. And then 50 years later, another medical student by the name of Paul Mueller created a insecticide called DDT. He got the second Nobel Prize. He starts spraying the swamps and kills all the mosquitoes. And in 6 months' time, there was no more malaria. You don't hear nothing about malaria anymore. Not because we're treating everybody with quinine, but because we're spraying the swamps with DDT and killing the mosquitoes.
Right, right. I know you have to go soon. Carolyn, do you have any more questions before we go here?
Well, I would love to hear a little bit about cardio beats, how to incorporate that.
Well, you just add it. I mean, you just add it as I take 90 essential nutrients twice a day. Been doing it for 72 years. I don't know if you can see behind me here. I take 90 pills, tablets, and capsules twice a day. I take 90 pills, tablets, and capsules twice a day.
Okay.
Okay. And I take my drinks, which have 225 nutrients in them, twice a day.
Uh-huh. Right.
I never fail. I take 3 suitcases with me when I get on an airplane. 2 of them weigh 70 pounds each, and they have all my supplements with me.
Right.
Okay. Plus, I ship everything ahead to where I'm going. So I take them in case what I ship doesn't get there.
Mm-hmm.
I have never missed it. I have never missed taking these 90 essential nutrients twice a day. for 72 years, Alan. I'm 80 years old.
I know. Show them your bone density there. I love to, yeah, and your wrist. Yeah, I know. You're solid, Doc. You are solid. Yeah.
Yeah, three guys weighed 200 pounds each. One time in a grocery store, tried to take me because I got some of the last stuff they wanted, and I wouldn't give it to them. So one of them grabbed me by the shirt, and I beat the snot out of all three of them.
Right. One more question about water. How important is water, reverse osmosis water, distilled water, mineral water, bottled water, and plastic?
There's one type of water people should drink. It's called Icelandic water.
Okay.
Let's see here.
Is
okay,
that,
yeah.
It's better than reverse osmosis, or
It has all the minerals in it you need. It's from the Icelandic glaciers.
Icelandic
okay.
water. Okay.
It's a longevity product. I give you points towards your check. You get to qualify when you buy our water. Okay. And it has the Icelandic minerals in there. And the Icelandic people live 8 to 10 years longer than us in America because they're drinking these Icelandic waters with all the minerals in it. Don't talk to me about distilled water. You want to, if you have any distilled water, wrap it up in a beautiful package and give it with love to your doctor.
What about reverse osmosis water?
Give that with love to your doctor.
Okay.
Now here's a piece. Okay, now I need 5 minutes here.
Okay, you got it.
Okay, now we're speaking about water and all that kind of stuff. You have to appreciate, Alan, that everybody knows that carbon dioxide is going up in the atmosphere, and all the environmentalists are blaming it on the fossil fuels in our cars and our heaters and air conditioners and all that kind of stuff. And that's not true. The reason why the carbon dioxide is going up in the air is because we have 1 million hydroelectric plants damming up the big rivers of the world to make electricity, to make the environmentalists happy. 1 million hydroelectric plants damming up the big rivers to make the environmentalists happy and make electricity. And then we have 2 million dams damming up the big rivers of the world for water storage, okay, and for irrigation to make the environmentalists happy.
Right.
Now, all of these dams have blocked the food to the ocean, the silt coming from the volcanic islands and volcanic mountains, like Queensland, Australia, where the Great Barrier Reef is dying. Why is the Great Barrier Reef is dying? It's not because people in Queensland, Australia are driving cars. It's because they've dammed up all the big rivers that fed the volcanic ash into the west coast of the Great Barrier Reef, okay? And the algae would eat the minerals. They would take the carbon dioxide out of the air, bust off the oxygen, pump it out in the atmosphere, take the carbon gas, turn it into carbon fibers, carbohydrates, amino acids, and fiber to make their own bodies. And then the polyps for the Great Barrier Reef that make the Great Barrier Reef maintain it would eat those algae and get their minerals that way. Now here's the deal. These algae require 17 different minerals for those biological processes to take place. And the only place you can get those 17 different minerals for the algae to break down carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is from the silt that comes down the rivers from all of these volcanic eruptions, whether they're volcanic island chains, which they're the only place that reefs grow is where there's volcanic ash.
Right.
You cut off the volcanic ash to them, the reefs die. Now, I did an autopsy on the Earth. That's why all my stuff, okay, is in the Smithsonian Institute as a national treasure.
Right. So you're saying that pollution on the planet is caused because we're not getting enough minerals to the ocean to
feed the algae so it can eat the carbon dioxide.
Oh, that's a very interesting approach. That's good. No, it's good.
No, it's the truth. It's the drop dead bottom line. And if you want to save the Earth, we got to get that silt from behind all the damn dams out to the ocean, down the rivers. In fact, I'm involved in a patent and a process, an auger. We're going to treat and we're going to cure and we're going to rebuild the Great Barrier Reef first thing this coming year. We're going to rebuild the Great Barrier Reef, and then we'll go to the ocean because we know all we have to do is auger that silt from behind all these damn dams down the river again, feed the ocean, the carbon dioxide will come right down, and all the hippies and environmentalists will be happy.
Great. No, great. One more question. What do you feel about eating fish? Is that okay?
I love fish,
Okay. Farm
especially
fish,
salmon.
salmon, farm salmon, okay for you?
That's kind of the last resort. It beats fried chicken. Okay, but I like to catch my own. I like to catch the.
Okay.
Is that
Oh,
you?
no, it's not me. It's probably someone, you probably. You, Doc.
Oh,
That's
it's
okay.
me.
We're
Okay.
just about finished there.
Yeah. No. Uh,
Oh, you got,
I like Alaska salmon.
yeah.
Okay, and so you have to appreciate. I have Alaska salmon for breakfast every morning with three eggs and a mixture of rice, cooked carrots, and garlic and baked potatoes for breakfast. I mean, that's my breakfast every
That's a
morning.
breakfast. You don't worry about the radiation in the water of the Pacific from Fukushima. What do you do about that? No,
Ho hum.
you're saying it's not a factor.
I take all my 90 essential nutrients, which detoxify. Your liver does all the detoxifying. Your bone marrow does all the detoxifying. But you
Okay.
got to give it the raw materials so the machinery will work.
Okay.
Okay, living on distilled water ain't going to cut it. You need our water. Okay, you need our Icelandic water, and that's what I put our powders in. And I apologize. Well, I probably should walk over. It'll take me 10 seconds here.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Walk over. We have time. We have 30 seconds.
Okay, yeah, it's just 10 seconds. I want to show you a bottle of this Icelandic water.
I'm going to wrap up here with Doc after he shows us the Icelandic water sold through Longevity. And he says this has the essential minerals and nutrients and everything you need for supplementing a depleted soil where we're not getting the nutrients. Okay, this is Doc's special water that you can get.
Okay, this water is the only water I drink. Okay, it's called Icelandic water. It comes from Iceland because where the people drink this water, they live 8 to 10 years longer than Americans do because of the minerals that are coming out of the glacier, out from underneath the glacier.
Right.
Okay, the glacier is grinding up the rocks, and they drink the water with all those minerals in it. Okay, so this is what I put my powders in from Longevity. I put all my powders in here. I get 225 nutrients on top of the I don't know 40 something minerals that are in here from the glaciers. All right, and then I also drink twice a day 2 of these cans, come in 12-ounce cans. It's our Rebounder sports drink with 100 nutrients in it. All other sports drinks have 2 or 3 nutrients, like Gatorade, and they may have salt in them. There's Gatorade, there's Red Bull. Ours has 100 nutrients in it, and the base is green tea. And so I drink 2 of these a day. I mean, don't drink it before you go to bed. You'll be up all night, okay? And this replaces everything you sweat out when you exercise. If you're drinking distilled water and you're exercising, you're going to die early.
Right. Doc, thank you. I'm going to show the link. We'll be back in 2 weeks with Doc again. So get your questions ready. Thank you, Carolyn. Any final comments from you, Carolyn?
No, thanks, Doc. And my
thank
book,
you, Carolyn.
it's all.
What's that?
It's all in your head.
It's all in your head. Yes. So if you want to order anything Doc mentioned today, go to Longevity, call 888-275-7755. Thank you for your time. This is Alan Steinfeld for New Realities, and Doc is always available. He's a source, a resource, a national treasure, as the Smithsonian said. And thank you, Doc, for your time. And
God bless you, and thank you so very much, Alan.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. Okay, I am finishing up. This is Alan Steinfeld for New Realities, and look at that number again. That is 888-275-7759. Call it. Someone's standing by now. Thanks. And I'm going to end the stream right here and see you next time, Doc. Good day.